the principles and the trustworthiness of these folks that you're associated with. The atmosphere and the environment that you get to come to like this is so incredible. And you look out there at your dream and what you want to achieve, and you start claiming that dream. You see, everybody in this room can be a direct. Everybody in this room can be an emerald. Everybody in this room can be a diamond. Everybody in this room can make the decision to do it. And in spite of all the people say only a certain percentage can succeed, let me argue with you that it is not a percentage, it is a decision. And for those people who decide, it is going to happen. And when it does, we'll see you on the beaches. We'll see you in Hawaii. We'll see you in Florida. We'll see you in the airports. It's amazing now, you just can't get away from Amway. We arrived down in Palm Beach, Florida the other day, and I was waiting for my bags, and I was talking to Toby. A guy comes over, and he says, "Are you Ron Hale?" I said, "Yes, sir, I am." He said, "Well, I heard your voice. I've never ever seen you in my whole life, but I recognized your voice. I just want to say hello." We're walking through the airport on the way up here. A guy comes running up behind us. "Hey, Ron and Toby Hale." Everywhere you go today, there are Amway people succeeding walking through those airports. One day, just imagine yourself and start seeing yourself living the lifestyle that you desire to live. Seeing yourself as an important part of your community, important part of your family, important part of your nation. As you go out to build a better country, as you go out to fulfill your destiny because you've decided that you're going to do it. And when you do that, when you're willing to make the decision and you're willing to follow through on that decision, folks, we'll walk the beaches with you. We'll see you at the top. Let me introduce the wonderful lady of my life, my business partner, my companion of 29 full-time years and 41 years of marriage. A great lady, Toby.
Thank you. Thanks. Woo. Thank you. Thank you. Are you fired up? Have you had a great time? Good. When we got in, Ron was making $500 a month in the Air Force. And the second month in the business, we made half as much in Amway, and we were only working at 3 hours a week, as he was making full-time in the military, working 60 hours a week. In 18 months in this business, he was making more money in retirement than he would have after 20 years in the military. And I don't know about you, but it don't take a lot of things happening like that to make you realize that what you thought was a vehicle that was going to take you to your dreams is not going to do it. And Ron and I came to the realization that the military was not going to take us where we wanted to go in life when we got married at 17 years old. In fact, right before Ron got in this business, we'd been married for 11 and a half years. And I have to tell you that we had stopped dreaming. We stopped talking to each other about what was possible in our lives. We just stopped discussing it. And you know why we quit? We quit because, folks, it hurts too much to talk about things that you really want in your life when there's no way that you can ever afford to get them. We didn't talk about sending our kids to college because on the military pay, we couldn't have afforded to do that. We didn't talk about buying new furniture. When we did get furniture for our house, we went to a furniture store, and they took us down in their basement where their used furniture, somebody had turned in used furniture on new furniture. And we bought a couch and a chair for $25. And that was the furniture that we had after 11 and a half years of marriage. We went down to Sears and we paid $120 for a bed because Sears gave us credit. Our kids slept on a bed that Ron had bought for, I think, $5 at an auction. We didn't talk about new furniture. We didn't talk about a wonderful house. We didn't talk about the things that we talked about when we were 17 years old. And then the day, I think, everybody has to reach a point. You almost have to hit bottom before you can look up, And when Ron and I stood in line at the commissary that day with the $25 food budget for 2 weeks' groceries that would feed 3 little kids and me and Ron, and we stood in line, and Ron had carefully calculated everything that we put in that cart. And I'm here to tell you there wasn't any junk food in the cart. There was nothing except staples in that cart because that's all we could afford. And when we got to the checkout line and he said, "Do you mind subtotaling this ever so many items?" And the lady said, "I'd be glad to." So we put 10 items up there and she'd give us a subtotal and we were okay, and we'd put a few more up there. But have you ever been afraid to put much up there because you didn't want to go over it? So I figured Ron was right on with his calculations, and he was. We put the last item up there, and she gave us the subtotal, and we were okay. And all of a sudden, I looked at him, and he looked at me. We both just went, whew. Another payday, and we made it. Well, they didn't charge us tax in the military on our food, but they did charge a surcharge that we had forgotten. And when they put that amount up there, it only went a couple of dollars, over $25. But all of a sudden, when I looked at Ron, I saw the embarrassment. I saw the red start at his neck, and it went up into his face. And he looked at me and he said, "Honey, have you got $2? I didn't. I said, "No, do you not have?" He said, "Mm-mm. But we don't need this, do we?" And I looked at what Ron picked up, and it was just a pack of dried pinto beans and some other things that we really, really, really did need for 2 more weeks. And I looked at him and I said, we can do without it. And he took it and he put it back on the shelf, and we got it down under $25. But that was the day we had to face reality. That was the day we came to realize that the military was not going to be the vehicle to get us where we wanted to go. And we came out of there after suffering through such embarrassment. And I never wanted Ron to have to go through that again, and I know he never wanted me to have to go through it. Because, see, we grew up learning how to work hard, but it seemed like no matter how hard we worked in the military, it was not enough to get us ahead of the game. And we were always just keeping our heads just above water. We hadn't saved any money. As soon as we'd put $10, $20 in a savings account, something would happen. Have you ever lived like that? We lived like that. Ron and I came out of that commissary, and he grabbed my hand, and it was almost as much out of desperation as anything else. And we started praying that, God, if you really love us, just please send us something that we can get in control of our future. And folks, it wasn't long before Amway came into our lives. And Ron went over and took a look at this marketing plan. And when he came back, it was wonderful. It was so strange I didn't know how to accept it, because the same man that walked out that afternoon and came back about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning was not the same man. It was somebody else in Ron Hell's body. And it took me a long time to recognize him, because it'd been 11 and a half years since I'd seen that man. He came back in, he was so excited. It was almost like he'd been given a new life, and he really had. I didn't realize it at the time. But he came in and he was talking about our dreams again. And he was saying, "Toby Ann, we're going to be rich. We're going to be millionaires. I know I promised you so much when you married me, and now we can make it come true." I mean, he started talking about our dreams again. But the one thing that scared me was that when he said millionaires, a dream's one thing, but to be wealthy, to be millionaires, scared the fire out of me. Because, see, I grew up hearing from the time I was a young'un that rich people are going to go straight to, you heard it too, huh? I mean, I heard that all my life. See, Ron and I grew up in the poverty area of the Appalachian Mountains of Virginia. We grew up hearing that rich people are going to go straight to hell. But I got to tell you that the rich people where we lived was people that had the toilet inside the house, okay? Or people that had a fresh coat of paint on the outside of their house. And immediately that started worrying me, that we were going to be rich. And I figured out a way to get around it. I immediately started praying that God would let Ron make just enough money to keep me this side of hell, but not enough to plunge me over. You know what I mean? But I came to the realization that I was my own worst enemy. Isn't it something what we do in our brain to stop ourselves from succeeding? And that's one of the reasons that I had to get into the books, and I was like a sponge. I couldn't get enough of the books. I still can't get enough of the books, because when I got in the books, I found out what poverty thinking is. I found out what was holding us back in this business, or holding me back in this business. I found out that poverty is a form of hell caused by my blindness to God's unlimited good. And that was what was holding me back in this business. And when I found that out, then I could do something about it. I love the books. I love the tapes. I don't look at them as a cost. I look at them as, what am I getting out of it? What's the value of this? And the book that just got me out of poverty thinking, my goodness, I would pay a lot more money than what they asked for that book today, because of what it helped do to me inside. And see, when Ron got into business, he told me that all he would require of me to do was sell the merchandise, and when he had meetings at the house, just to hang people's coats up. And he said, you'll never have to talk in front of anybody. And so when he'd have people over at the house, I'd go back, I'd cook for you, and I'd hang your coat up, and then as soon as I had you sitting down, then I would go back behind the security wall, and I would stay there. And it scared me to death to think that I would have to interact with people. I'd never done that before in my life, until the night Ron came home from work, and he was having a meeting that night, and he said, Toby Ann, would you just help me out tonight? The people need some product demos done for them. And I said, Ron, you promised. And he said, but honey, I really need you. If you guys would just ever learn the magic of those words, honey, I really need you to do this. I said, okay, I'll try. So here I am sitting back behind my security wall. He introduces me. He has, in our living room, there must have been 30 or 40 people. Only 4 of them had seats. I could put 3 of them on the couch, 1 of them in a chair, and everybody else was sitting on the floor. He introduced me, and I went in there scared to death. I picked up a bottle of LOC, and it started shaking in my hands till you couldn't see the label on that bottle. I don't know what I told him. I tried to start talking. When I tried to start talking, my voice came up to here, and it croaked. I got scared. Tears came in my eyes. I think I told him that the LOC meant lots of cash. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure what I told him. But all of a sudden, I got through it. I got out of that room. I went back behind my security wall. As soon as the meeting was over with, people started coming in to get something to drink and something to eat. And this doctor came up to me. He'd been sitting on the floor, and he said, Mrs. Hell, I need to tell you that I'm getting in this business. And I said, well, sir, you'll love it. I said, it's really a wonderful business. He said, ma'am, you don't understand. I'm getting in because of you. I said, me? He said, yes, ma'am. Anybody that loves the products so much they cry over them, it's got to be a great business. And all of a sudden I realized he didn't know I was terrified. He didn't know I was scared. And I don't know if you can understand this, but that gave me hope. That gave me hope that I could go out, and no matter how scared I was, it didn't matter. If I just went out and did what needed to be done. And see, one of the books that I read said this. It said, the richest people in the world are in the cemetery. And I thought, what a strange thing to write. I couldn't understand the statement, and I read further, and it said the richest people in the world are in the cemetery because they've died with their dreams still in them. And see, no matter what, I will not die with my dreams undone. I will not die with my dreams not come true, folks. And you and I can't afford that, no matter what it takes. I mean, if you're new in this business and you've not got a board and easel and not drawn circles because you think they have to be perfect, get over it. Get over yourself in this business, and there's no limit to what you can do in it.